basic guide to understanding hosting. A hosting account allows a website to be made accessible to the World Wide Web. A host allows to use storage on and access to a server. Access is usually through a type of control panel. That's what you'll find standard among the different accounts that you set up, especially when you're dealing with places like GoDaddy, HostGator. And there's a few different types of servers. There's shared hosting, and this is common and what you'll find a lot of people get because it's usually the cheapest option. And what you have is your site is on a server with a bunch of different sites, but there can be issues with that because if you have a spike in traffic, that spike in traffic could lead to your site going down. I know you've heard or seen to where you go to a site where it's getting a lot of buzz, you go and the site is down. It's because it can't handle the bandwidth. There's also private hosting, which is a shared server, but it acts like multiple and you get a dedicated resource on that private server. Then there's cloud hosting, which works like a bunch of servers together. So it's like you have this one giant server and they're easy to scale that up so that way the resources are available as long as they keep increasing servers as they get new sites. Then there's dedicated hosting, in which you actually rent a server for you that's dedicated to your site. There's going to be a higher expense with that. A lot of times that's one of the faster options. And then when you go to do a purchase, getting an SSL certificate, or you secure your site with HTTPS, which also is a Google ranking factor. Website speed is a very important factor of your site. If you get it to load instantaneously, that would be ideal. Faster sites generate better engagement and conversion. I think it's for every second it takes a page to load, that's a 7% loss in conversion. So you can see how if you were to scale that, it could have a big impact on the revenue you or your clients are making. Now, overall page speed, so the time that it takes a page to fully load, that's everything on the page, is not necessarily a factor because you can see this across web, especially large sites. It could take 14 seconds, 10 seconds to load and they're still in the top position. But what's going on the majority of the time is the time to first byte, or TTFB. The goal is to get that under 500 milliseconds. And also you want content to start coming up as quick as possible too, because the goal is to get the user engaged with the page as the page is loading completely. So let's say, for instance, everything loaded on the 14th second and you had white screen until that point, they're going to bounce. But you start giving them everything above the header as everything below the fold starts loading. You're going to keep them as they scroll, it pops up, it keeps them engaged, it keeps them interested in what's on your site, and it gets them moving through the site. Now, ideally, dedicated hosting is usually that has the fastest response time, in which you can find on a number of different hosts out there. You want to be able to get the right hosting package. And there's a couple of things that I do. I will use a really cheap host to test out for, say, for affiliate that I'm building, I'm trying to drive calls for. I'll do I'll pay $1 a month on a hosting service, which I will usually start out with. And then once I prove the concept, I'll go to that hosting package that has the speed that I'm looking for. Now, to check your speed, to see what's going on, because there's issues that can arise. Let's say you have large images on the site, but you're like, I don't know where this is. We're going to be able to take a look to see what's going on. Now, the tools that I use, web.dev, which uses Lighthouse, which is Google's, their page speed, insights that they use to figure out what's going on and give you a grade. And then webpagetest.org is another one that I use that gives a grade. And I will also at times use Gmetrics as well too. So we're going to page speed insights by Google. We're going to go ahead and analyze, and it's going to give us both. And change this around, put S, whatever your primary URL that's loading, I would use that. Web.dev. Let's do this one. Let's see what we got. It's chomp. Run an audit, and then webpagetest.org. As these run, so we've got our grade 25 for mobile, desktop 76. So mobile, what I found, usually they're using 3G speed. Yeah, you can see. So a lot of this, what we're going to do is when we use our CDN, we'll fix these issues and we'll take another look. But this is for benchmarking, and we could see first paint 1 second, that's too long. Time to interactive 1.9. See this white space? We want to avoid that. We want that over here. And if you look at your competitors, usually the ones who are ranking in top position, so you're going to have it pretty quick. It gives ID our TTFB is 1.68, which is way too long, so that's an F. And then when we see here, see TTFB 1.4. So we're seeing, right? And this gives us a waterfall. We click into it, get an idea All right, but it's an image, JPEG. See, you can see exactly what's going on. We want to compress these images, which we do with image optimization, and then we get our report here, ran our audit, no bueno. You can see more. But also there's another report. View report gives a better layout. Another trick, you want to be logged out of WordPress. So you inspect, and do your drop down site, you do audits, and you change to no throttling. You'll get different performance, simulated slow. Your web developer will always run it on no throttling. Let them know, like, hey, this isn't real world. This isn't how it all does. Usually it's based on throttle from what we see. Run your audit and do it. Always do it from incognito without logged in. Going to give you a more accurate reading from what we found. And there's your completed version, which same thing that we're getting over here on the Lighthouse or PageSpeed Insights, right? So there's a number of different ways. Actually, this one was a worse performance, but it started painting faster. So you can see the different ones. You put them all together, and it's kind of how you dig through this to find out where your issues are and what you need to address.